Let's talk about the Justice Society roster in my DC Cinematic Universe. A lot of people have been asking about who's on each superhero team in my DC Cinematic Universe, so that's what I'm doing this week. And today it's the roster for every Justice Society in my cinematic universe. Starting off, we have the very first roster. These people are on Task Force X during World War II, and after that, they formed the Justice Society. Wonder Woman, Hawkman, Jay Garrick the Flash, Rex Tyler the Hourman, Dinah Drake the Black Canary, Kent Nelson, Dr. Fate, Alan Scott, Green Lantern, Billy Batson, Shazam, and John Jones, aka Bloodwind, Martian Manhunter. By the end of the movie, they lose Hourman, Black Canary, and Dr. Fate. The sequel, set over 30 years later, sees older incarnations of many of the same roster and new additions. Rick Tyler, Rex's son, who's now taken the name Hourman. Laurel Lance, Dinah Drake's niece, who inherited the family ability and took the name Black Canary. Inza Nelson, the wife of Kent Nelson, the current Dr. Fate, and newcomer Ted Grant, aka the Wildcat. And they all survive the second movie. And then the third movie, 20 more years later. Flash, Hawkman, Green Lantern, and Dr. Fate are all in their 70s. Billy Batson is only 50, but when he says Shazam, he turns into classic young Shazam. Martian Manhunter's like 450 at that point, so not really too much has changed there. Ted, Black Canary, and Rick are all about 40 years old. And then we have two newcomers. Magan, the daughter of John, who's about 20, and Giovanni Zatara, the mentee to Dr. Fate. And he himself is about 30. And this is the death toll at the end of the movie. As you can see, basically everyone dies except for Wonder Woman. These red circles means they didn't die, but they did retire. In Ted's case, he has lost the will to stay a superhero and simply wants to live a safe life so he can be there to raise his daughter that he had with Black Canary. Magan, who had only just become a superhero, was absolutely traumatized by one of her very first experiences being the death of her father and almost the entire rest of the team, so she retires. And Billy Batson is so severely fucked up in his fight against Black Adam, he loses the ability to speak and cannot say Shazam anymore. And Giovanni Zatara becomes the new Dr. Fate, taking the helmet off of his dead mentor when she is killed by Black Adam. And Wonder Woman lives on. Tune in tomorrow for my video about Task Force X. I will not be saying their other name because the algorithm hates it. Let's talk about team rosters for my DC Cinematic Universe. There are quite a few superhero teams in my DC Cinematic Universe, and you guys have been asking who's on every single one. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you a lot of them. So starting off, Justice League Dark, first movie. It's John Constantine, Zatanna Zatara, her father, Giovanni Zatara, the current Dr. Fate, Jason Blood Etrigan the Demon, Swamp Thing, and John Constantine's niece, Raven. For their second movie, the roster goes more or less unchanged, except for the addition of Madame Xanadu. Uh-oh, it's a dumb bitch alert. Welcome, everybody. Dumb bitch alert. The dumb bitch today is me. I forgot on my Justice League Dark roster is Dead Man. I made the man Dick Grayson's uncle, and then I fucking forgot him in my fucking video about this. He's on the team. That's the lineup for the movie number 2. I forgot my boy! This is my core Justice League. Superman, Batman, Barry Allen, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman. They are brought together and form a team because they are attacked by an organization called the Legion of Doom, consisting of Vandal Savage, Metallo, Professor Ivo, Mirror Master, and Ocean Master. These guys are also primarily the main villains for the first phase of my DC Cinematic Universe. In my second Justice League movie, Justice League Public Enemies, the Justice League are hunted down by this team, the Outsiders: Black Lightning, Vixen, Katana, Black Canary, Oliver Queen, Green Arrow, and Metamorpho. At the end of the movie, this team joins the Justice League, and so the roster increases that much. Next up, we have the Teen Titans. The team is founded and run by Nightwing, and it consists of Jackson Hyde, aka Calderon, Gar Logan Beast Boy, Raven, Jason Todd Robin, Virgil Hawkins Static, Connor Kent Superboy, Cassie Sandsmark Wonder Girl, Victor Stone the Cyborg, and Wally West the Kid Flash. And these numbers are their approximate ages during the movie. By the end of the movie, after they take down the metahuman trafficking ring, they get 2 new members. Tara Markov, about 16, and Coriander Starfire, about 15. This is then the roster for the second Teen Titans movie, only age them all up, 2 to 3 years, like standard sequel movie time. Speaking of said metahuman trafficking ring, it is run by an organization called Hive, run by the Queen of Bialia, aka the Queen Bee. It consists of Jinx, Ravager, his father Deathstroke, Shimmer, and her brother Mammoth. And that's all you guys are getting for this one, but tune in tomorrow for my roster of the Justice Society. Let's talk about Task Force X in my DC Cinematic Universe. Now you guys might be wondering, whoa, this ain't Task Force X, this is the Rogues. Yes, I have to say the lineup of the Rogues first because they are the main villains of my first Flash movie, them in their entirety. This is who Barry Allen has to fight during his first time with superpowers. They are defeated, they are thrown in prison, and most of them are forced to join Task Force X, with the exception of Mirror Master, who never gets caught, and he gets recruited by Vandal Savage to join the Legion of Doom. For the first Task Force X movie, the roster is Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Weather Wizard, Kite Man, Heatwave, Captain Cold, Golden Glider, Killer Croc, and Deadshot. And by the end of the movie, we lose Kite Man, Weather Wizard, Heatwave, and Killer Croc. For the sequel, the roster expands quite a bit. Amanda Waller expertly crafted the team dynamic from before, and so she replaces the dead people with similar abilities. Heatwave gets replaced by Hot Streak, Weather Wizard gets replaced by Livewire, and Killer Croc gets replaced by King Shark. And the 2 new additions to this team are Killer Frost and Bane. And here's the death toll at the end of the movie. Only Harley, Ivy, Bane, and Killer Frost survive. And if you think, wow, that's a lot of dead characters, you have not seen anything yet. Y'all, just get ready for my 3rd Justice League movie, Justice League Crisis. Let's talk about who's on all of the Lantern Corps in my DC Cinematic Universe. Starting off, my Green Lanterns don't get movies. They're getting a TV series 5 seasons long. So get ready, because this is 5 seasons of characters. The first season of my Green Lantern show is the Sinestro Corps War. Sinestro mounted a coup against the Guardians and killed all of them. He then took about half of the Green Lantern Corps with him to start his own corps based on the yellow energy spectrum of fear. So the remaining Green Lanterns had to form a new council to govern what was left of the Green Lantern Corps. And so the 9 senior-most members of the Corps were chosen. Hal Jordan, Lysandra, Kirina Vint, Salak, Tomar Ray, Lashor, Kilowog, Mogo, and Zale. These are the bosses of the Green Lantern Corps. They are in charge. Then we move on to reoccurring characters that ally themselves primarily with the Green Lantern Corps. Jaime Reyes is introduced in Season 3, you'll see why in a bit. Lyra Omoto, Rain Kral, Arisa Rab, Simon Baz, Aya, Tomar 2, Jessica Cruz, Nort, Sodam Yat, Sornik Natu, Chip, Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, Jon Stewart, motherfucking Lobo, Shaira Hall, and Joe Mullen. Lobo, Shaira, and Jaime are not Green Lanterns. They are just allied with the Corps. Sinestro is going to have a lot of lackeys in his Corps, but none of them are significant enough to really denote a specific character, except for his nephew, Amon Sur, Abin Sur's son. And for those that don't know, Sornik Natu is Sinestro's daughter and Ammon's cousin. Drama. Next, we move on to the Red Lanterns, of which there are only 6. Again, in my DC Cinematic Universe, Green Lanterns did not forge their own rings out of sheer willpower. They were given copies of rings made by Ganthet, and then Sinestro corrupted a bunch of those. That's why those 2 corps have hundreds of thousands of members, and all of the other corps have very limited numbers because all of these people actually forged their own rings out of pure emotion. The 2 most important members are Atrocitus and Bleez. Then we have Scorch and Zilius Zax, and finally Razor and Dex Star. Bleez is the crown princess of the Thanagarian Empire in my DC Cinematic Universe, so bet your ass She's very important to the plot. Next up, the Blue Lanterns, of which there are only 5. I'm choosing Sade, Worth, Cersei, him, and Saint Walker. And then we move on to the Star Sapphires. We're going with Aga Poe, the very first one who started the Corps, Miri Ram, Ira Cyril, Noel Ange, and Carol Ferris, the wife of Hal Jordan. And then the Indigo Tribe. The entire tribe has limited Indigo Lantern abilities, but these are the 3 most powerful, about on par with ring wielders. Irok, aka Indigo 1, Monk, and Nostromo, the one that taught Abin Sur how to harness the Indigo Light. Larfleeze. And finally, since you guys know that in Season 1, my villains are the Sinestro Corps and the Sinestro Corps War, and that's where we introduce almost all of the characters, here's all the rest of the seasons. Season 2 will be the Thanagarians and the Red Lanterns, and a major character is going to be General Hro Talak. You know, he's the general, he's the head of the Thanagarian military. With Bleez out of commission, he sort of becomes the head of Thanagar for a little bit. He's Shayura's superior officer. There's going to be a whole thing with him. In Season 3, the Reach rear their heads, and they have created their army of scarabs, and they've resurrected the Manhunters. That should be fun. And this is the season where Jaime Reyes is introduced. In Season 4, the Corps has to come into conflict with Mongol. With all of the unrest going on in the universe, he is taking this opportunity to expand his empire, and one of his very first targets is the planet of Almarok, where if you can beat up the queen, you get to marry her and become the king of the planet. So that's what Mongol does. We get Maxima, baby! And in the final season of the show, the antagonist is Volthoom, the First Lantern, and we are introduced to the new gods. In my DC Cinematic Universe, White Lantern energy is Source energy, and the First Lantern bombarded himself with all of the colors of the emotional spectrum to turn himself into a weapon. So when this guy appears again, these guys' mother boxes start freaking out because they are reading a false signature of the Source entity flying around the universe, blowing shit up. The new gods step in, and this is when we're introduced to how overwhelmingly powerful these people are, and we're gonna get some little cameos from Darkseid because that dude's just chilling. He's planning. This shit does not faze Darkseid. And that is the lovely cast of characters you'll get to meet in my 5 seasons of my Green Lantern Corps series for my DC Cinematic Universe.